One of the big things, obviously, that we have tried to do that, where we built a very constructive inside-outside relationship, was the work that was done around the healthcare bill, and particularly the public option fight, which was a vehicle for moving the bill substantially to the left, and was the first real prototype that we had for inside-outside coordination. Congressman Grijalva, can you talk a little bit about what it was like for the Congressional Progressive Caucus in the stages of that process as you prototyped the kind of inside-outside, the first really big inside-outside shared battle that we've taken on?
I thought the work outside was essential to keeping the issue alive, keeping the progressive perspective on the table in this whole discussion, and holding people's feet to the fire about, you got to get this done, and this is now we're off Medicare for all, we're off single payer. Public option became the alternative that most people that we felt came as close to expanding healthcare to all Americans, and it was essential because many times inside the progressive perspective falls down the ledger. First, it's about protection of members that are in tough races. Then it becomes the art of the doable. What can we do and what we can't do? How do we work this out with the administration and the Senate? And all through that process, the public option kept going back and forth. And Jared and Tom did a great thing. And right when it looked like we were going to lose it again, and working with outside organizations, they circulated a letter, got significant members of Congress to sign it, and suddenly we were back at the table. And that was very, very effective, beautiful timing, and that couldn't have happened without the support we had from the outside. And the lesson I learned, not only a strategic one, but I think down the road, as we go, as both the Progressive Caucus matures, understands both strengths and limitations, investing in the future of this caucus, I think, is a wise thing for outside organizations to really cement that linkage. And of course, there's going to be differences. There's differences among progressives as we speak right now. That's going to happen. But investing in what this caucus can become in terms of influence and power within the House of Representatives, I think, is a wise investment. And so what I learned from that whole thing with healthcare, bitter, sweet to say the least, was that the potential for that kind of linkage is tremendous. And we continue to try to cultivate that. Some members of Congress, whether they're progressives or not, think they're unto themselves. I got here, I don't need anything, I just need to get reelected, I know all. And I think the effective caucuses, let me use the Black Caucus as an example, in Congress, have beautiful strategic alliances with their community out in the country. And so if progressives are in there, you're not there single, you're representing a value, yes, a principle, yes, but you're also representing a constituency. And so to work with organizations that are the base and the leadership for those constituencies is the way we can be most effective. We can coordinate lobbying, we can coordinate pressure, we can coordinate the kinds of legislation that we need to prioritize. All that can happen, I think, not based on the lessons that we learned, bittersweet that they were, over the healthcare thing. That's the big lesson I learned through that process. And that codependency between what we're able to do inside and what we need outside organizations and to do to help us move that agenda. That dependency, I think, is something that I and others, I know Jared and I have talked about that as well, is to strengthen that linkage in the future.
So we have participating today, 4 fantastically progressive members who have taken really tough vote after really tough vote for very progressive things and have consistently spoken out on the issues that we care about. But occasionally it is the case that one of the members who is a natural ally of ours on the inside, sorry, we're getting feedback, who is a natural ally of ours on the inside, will do or say something that we disagree with. Now, I think it would be useful for us to have a little bit of a conversation about how we on the outside respond when a member does or says something that we disagree with. And so I had, as an example, Congressman Murphy, who has been fantastically progressive. He represents several of my in-laws quite well. On any number of issues, one of the most progressive members of Congress took a vote in his first term that was very controversial to censure Move On. Can you talk, Congressman, a little bit about what that was like, what the reaction was, and what, in your view, would have been a constructive approach to such a disagreement?
Sure. I think that we have to look at ourselves as a family here. We talk about the outside and the inside, and for a lot of us that are on the inside, we don't see it that way, right? We just see ourselves as advocates for progressive healthcare policies, energy policies, immigration policies, who have happened to have run and won elections to Congress. And so we are the part of the movement that is inside the body. But we feel like this is all one movement and one organization moving to where we want to get to. And so in that sort of family atmosphere, I think you look at points of disagreement as you would inside your family, in that you are always going to have a couple things in which you don't agree upon, but that should not and cannot be a means or an excuse to write that member of the family out, to kick them out of the house. And I think each one of us have those particular examples. For me, one of the things I care most about is the tone of and the way in which we talk to each other. And I've been pretty strong in calling out both sides when I feel like we're engaging in name-calling rather than in constructive politics. And so I think the good thing that happened with respect to that one particular issue, and what I've made sure happens on any issue in which I may be taking a step that has angered or made uncomfortable some portions of my constituents, is to make sure that they force me to explain that vote, that there isn't an assumption on behalf of progressives about why they think their member of Congress voted the way they did. I think the most important thing that happens when you're looking at any member that has voted in a way that makes you angry is to, one, obviously understand the full scope of the things you care about and the fact that that particular issue may be an exception, but to make sure that you engage in a conversation, either with the member, with the staff, to get that explanation. Because it may not be what you think it is. There may be something more to the reason or rationale for that vote. And what I've learned is I know I'm not going to be on the same page as all my constituents all the time, but I know if I take the time to have that conversation, it often leads to a greater level of understanding going forward. Listen, we obviously take a lot of this stuff very personally, and it hurts us enormously, I think, emotionally as it would anyone, when a friend, when an ally, when someone that you feel like you've been hardened in battle with walks away from you because of one particular thing, one particular vote you cast, and it becomes hard to repair that again. So, I think sort of showing that you're willing to listen, showing that you're willing to engage and understand the reason why you might have a particular disagreement, frankly, is one of the things that probably just cements and hardens that relationship so that you can be even more closely binded together on fights in the future.